It was an average time of day, at a normal time of year, and Mousa the mouse was doing what he did almost every day: fishing. Fishing in the stream just a short distance from his house. Mousa had gotten used to the hours of boredom. People would say to him, "But it's the great outdoors," or "It's so peaceful." Mousa, of course, could appreciate all that, but just wished he could have a bit more excitement every now and again. Something more than sitting, fishing and drinking orange juice. In fact, he hadn't had any of his orange juice for quite some time, and at the bottom of his beaker was a tiny slither of orange juice. Barely half a mouthful, and Mousa knew when he was gone, that was it. He started thinking to himself that he hadn't had nearly as much orange juice in the last few weeks compared to what he was used to. There hadn't been much of it around for ages, and even if he went home, he was sure he didn't have any there either. At what point should he finish his orange juice? Would he have to go home and find other liquid refreshments? Ones that might not be quite as nice as orange juice? Also, someone might take his place on the riverbank. It was a dilemma, and Mousa thought maybe it could well have been the most interesting dilemma he had had for days. Yes, things were pretty slow down at the riverbank. Slow and dull, he said to himself, not relaxing and peaceful, as others continued to insist. Peaceful, he thought. What with others fishing along the riverbank, crunching their crisps, and tossing sandwich crusts over their shoulders. Picnickers snorting with laughter every other minute, and then the messenger dogs barking out names, and those that are called scurrying up to the dogs to find out their dinner is ready, or whatever. No, it wasn't quite as peaceful as everyone thought. Plus, Mousa didn't have any crisps, or stories worth laughing about over a picnic, and none of the messenger dogs ever had a message for him. Right on cue, Mousa then heard one of the messenger dogs clearing his throat directly behind him. Mousa turned around in hopeful anticipation. "Laurent? Laurent!" called the dog. Oh well, never mind, thought Mousa. "Laurent!" The dog's repeated howls were now beginning to annoy Mousa, and he wasn't the only one. He noticed two big bears on the path, both with their arms folded and looking irritated, just like he was by the constant "Laurent!" Oh, there it goes again. Mousa then looked at his beaker and realised in all this noisiness he had finished his orange juice without noticing. I suppose it's as good a time as any to rush home, grab a drink, and quickly rush back again, he thought. Mousa quickly jumped out of his chair and raced up the embankment. He was so busy looking at where he was putting his paws that he ran straight into the belly of the messenger dog. He was too big to be knocked over, but the grumpy old hound muttered something along the lines of, "Watch where you're going." Mousa apologised, but the mutt didn't seem to accept his apology, instead striding off with his nose in the air, although Mousa noticed he had stopped shouting that stupid name over and over again. Anyway, Mousa would carry on towards his home, but in a much more careful, considered and slow manner this time. But all of a sudden, his path was blocked by a giant furry leg. He looked up to see it was one of the bears he had noticed earlier. Mousa didn't want to create a fuss, so went around the leg, but the bear stepped across his path again. "Excuse me," said an irate Mousa. "Don't you think you should come with us?" responded the bear. "I certainly do not. I'm going home," said Mousa, and again attempted to go past the bear, but this time the bear's giant hand gently pushed him back to where he had been before. "What are you doing?" said Mousa. "Look, we'd prefer it if you just came along with us." "No, I'm not in the habit of wandering off with two strange and, may I say, very rude bears, especially ones that I've never met before," Mousa told the bear. "Look, it would be easier if you just come along with us," said the bear in a slow but menacing tone. "Easier? Easier than what?" Musa asked, and he got his response almost immediately as he was whisked off his feet and scooped up into one of the fishing nets being held by the bear. "Put me down!" Musa cried, but the bear slung the net over his shoulder and began to walk towards the woods. Musa popped his head over the top of the net, and just as he opened his mouth to shout for help, he found a giant furry hand being pressed into his mouth by the bear. All Musa could see now was the messenger dog's wagging tail walking in the opposite direction and getting further and further away. And fairly soon Musa was far away from anyone who could help him.